Well, hello there once again. We got our Unit 4 review questions. Going to run through them for you, make sure you got the right answers, and drop in pins. And hopefully they make sense to you. So let's look through this. Remember, we got the three main, other than perfect competition, the other three types of markets. You got monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly, what these are covering. So let's run through number one. What is one difference between a monopoly and a perfectly competitive firm? Well, of course, letter C is the best answer to number one. Monopoly has a marginal revenue curve, as you can see, like on this graph here, that is below demand. Of course, we know with a perfectly competitive firm, marginal revenue equals demand, and that's a horizontal line for the firm. So C is the best answer there. Number two, a profit-maximizing monopolist selects its output level in and the best answer here is B for number two. And the reason is, let's come back here, we can look at this graph here, even though this graph is for number three. Remember our rule on marginal revenue. As long as marginal revenue is positive, demand is, that's right, elastic. Okay, once marginal revenue goes negative, that's when demand goes elastic. Well, when you think about it, where do firms always produce? That's right, the intersection of MR and MC. MR and MC are always going to intersect at a point where MR is positive, right? I mean, it wouldn't make sense to have a negative cost curve, right? That wouldn't, no such thing as negative costs. Costs are always positive. So wherever they're producing is probably almost certainly going to be where MR is positive. Therefore, they're always producing where demand is elastic. All right, let's look at number three. If the monopolist could engage in perfect price discrimination. Well, remember, if they perfectly price discriminate, what's the big thing that happens? The demand curve becomes the same as the MR curve. Well, if demand is MR, and you always produce where MR equals MC, that means you're going to produce right here at a quantity of, it's kind of hard to read on my screen here, but Q2, and at a price of, I believe that's P3. So that would be letter D for number three, okay, Q2 and P3, because the MR curve becomes the demand curve. All right, this question refers to the graph here. It's a monopolistically competitive firm, okay, that's important. Are they in short run or long run? Now they have to be in short run, and the reason they have to be in short run is because they are making profit. Remember, monopolistic competition in the long run, they only break even, and so you'd expect that the ATC curve would be at, so again, MR and MC determines your quantity, come up here to find your price, so this is going to be the price. ATC would be the same as price. Well, here ATC is lower than price because ATC is lower than price. Letter B is accurate. They are earning a positive economic profit. All right, we got our payoff matrix here, our game theory. So Pam and either Tara or Tara, depending on your nationality, run two competing lemonade stands and so forth, and it shows high price and low price and all kind of fun stuff. Remember, I always like to do a little box thing just to make it a little bit easier to see whose profit we're working with or looking at any given time. So best answer here is going to be A, and I'll just run you through that real quick. If Pam goes high, Tara's options are to go high and make $40 or go low and make $70. Well, that being the case, Tara would definitely rather go low. So A is a true statement. Pam goes high. We know that Tara's going to go low. All right, let's look at number 6 here, another monopoly graph. Which of the following statements is true about these revenue curves? So the best answer here is B, and the reason is MR and MC intersect right here at a price of 200, at a quantity of 200. Remember, to find price, you go up here to 20. That's why A is not the correct answer, because you don't go straight over, you up to demand in order to find that price. So number 6 is B. All right, number 7, another graph here. We're talking about deadweight loss. Where's deadweight loss? So remember, the monopolist wants to produce right here at Q1. So that's where MR equals MC. If this was not a monopoly and this was a perfectly competitive market, they would be producing where demand equals MC, or supply, which is right here at T. So in other words, they lose the area here if it's a monopoly versus a perfect competition, and that becomes our deadweight loss. And so that is RTV, which is letter B. Okay, so number 7 is B. All right, next page here, number 8. The following question is based on the graphs for a monopoly. Okay, so we've got a monopoly going on here. Economic profit. What's our formula for profit? Price minus ATC times quantity. So remember, they're going to produce right here at Q1, come up to demand to find price at R. So how do we calculate this? Price, which is here at I, minus ATC here at L, times quantity, and it's the area of this rectangle, R-U-L-I, or RULI, which is letter C. All right, so number 8 is C. Number 9, a well-known fast food franchise substantially increases the price of its hamburgers, only loses some of its customers. How is that possible? Well, letter B, the hamburgers must be differentiated. They can still justify we got the best hamburgers, therefore people are going to pay the money. All right, number 10, game theory is a useful model to explain the behavior of firms in a market when the firms are, best answer here is E, interdependent. Remember, that's the whole game theory payoff matrix. What you do has a big impact on your competitor and vice versa. All right, here we got another monopoly graph here, and it's saying if it was a perfectly competitive market instead of monopoly, what would be the price and output? Well, again, like I said a moment ago, we're going to be right here. Okay, where MC or supply hits demand, and so the quantity is going to be Q3 at a price of T. I believe that is letter C. Okay, so number 11 is C. All right, number 12, a monopolist is producing in the inelastic portion of its demand curve if they decrease. So remember, inelastic, you always want the higher price, because higher price increases revenue. If they drop their price even more, we can expect that both total revenue and profits will decrease. Now, why will profits decrease? Well, again, let me look at, here, we use this one right here. So here's a good graph. Remember, like we said a moment ago, they're pretty much always going to be producing at a point where MR is positive. If they're producing where MR is negative, they're definitely not at profit maximizing point. And so that's going to be a problem for us. So their profits are going to go down even more. All right, so that was number 12. Number 13, in order for a firm to engage in price discrimination, remember there's 3 characteristics. One of them is letter A. They have to be able to differentiate people based on their demand so they know what to charge. So that's one of the characteristics that allows them to do that. All right, number 14, they give you all the whatever. In monopolistic competition, which is going to be true in the long run? Well, we know that they're always going to produce where MR equals MC, right? So we can automatically cross off B, because their MR is greater than MC as well as E. All right, what else do we know about the long run? We know in the long run they break even. So price has to be the same as ATC, so that eliminates letter A. And the other thing we know is that because it's not a perfectly competitive firm, price is going to be greater than MC, so we're left with the letter C. So number 14 is letter C. Again, that price is greater. Like I said, if I can show you a graph, where's a graph for us? I'm back here. Again, here's your price, and here's your MC down there. Price is greater than MC because it's not a perfectly competitive firm. All right, number 15. Again, we got our payoff matrix here, so we're going to figure this out. So again, I'm going to put a little box around alpha's strategies, or sorry, their outcomes. And so let's just run through this real quick. If alpha raises price, beta would rather not raise the price because they make 120 versus 100, so we put a little star there. If alpha does not raise the price, beta would still like to not raise the price because they make 70 versus 20. So we know that beta is definitely, their dominant strategy is not to raise price. Let's look at it from alpha's perspective. If beta raises the price, their better option is to not raise the price. They make 110. If beta does not raise the price, they still don't want to raise the price because they make 50. So for the dominant strategy for both is letter A. Okay, they're both not going to raise the price because that's what they do no matter what. All right, number 16, which of the following is true for a monopolist at the profit maximizing output level? And we said this before, or in a slightly different way, but letter A, price exceeds marginal revenue, because remember you go up to demand to find that price, wherever MR or C intersect, price is going to be above it. Number 17, we don't like monopolies, or we consider them inefficient because, and the best answer here is E, they lead to an under-allocation of resources. And again, let me show you this. So like I said, if this was a perfect market, you produce right there. Monopolies, of course, only want to produce right here. Okay, so they're going to produce less than the market wants. Okay, so that's why that's the answer there. Again, just to reiterate, answer to number 17 was E. All right, number 18, if the firm produces 10 units, the profits will be, well, at 10 units, the price is 20. The average total cost is 15, and of course they make 10 units, so price minus ATC, 20 minus 15 is 5. 5 times quantity 10 is 50. So we're left with letter B. Number 19, an industry consists of 100 small firms. The largest firm accounts for only 2% of sales. Brand names are important. We are clearly talking about a monopolistically competitive market. Okay, gotta be. Again, the difference between this and imperfect competition is brand names. No such thing as brand names when the items are identical as they would be in perfect competition. All right, number 20, in a market with 2 firms, a firm that has a dominant strategy is going to do which of the following. A is the best description of that. They're going to do pretty much their strategy regardless of what their competitor does. They're always going to end up in the same boat. 21, a difference between a firm in a perfectly competitive market and an unregulated monopoly, and the best answer here is A. Remember, a perfectly competitive firm, they can produce as much as they want and sell it at the market price. But a monopoly has that pesky downward sloping demand curve, so to sell more, they have to lower their price. All right, 22, which of the following is true? If a monopolist's marginal revenue curve is negative at the current level of output, and we said this a moment ago, negative demand has to be inelastic. When MR is positive, that's when it's elastic. All right, you got a profit maximizing monopoly if they can price discriminate and charge each customer what they're willing to pay. I think we're going to find that A is going to be true. And that's kind of what we said a moment ago, where we said if the MR curve becomes the demand curve, remember they produce at the socially optimal output, and so they're going to produce more than they would normally, because under normal circumstances, they underallocate. All right, 24, which of the following is true for both monopolistic competition and a perfectly competitive firm in long-run equilibrium? The best answer here is going to be D for number 24, economic profits. Remember, they both break even in the long run. And of course, they produce where MR equals MC. So that's all good. And the last one, number 25, again, we just kind of run through this. So you've got 2 producers of gold, B mine and G mine, or Bimini and Jiminy. I don't know how you say these, but anyway, let's just run through it. So put a little box around B mine. All right, so if B mine cheats, G mine is not going to cheat because they make 20 versus 5. If B mine does not cheat, G mine still does not want to cheat because they make 25. From B mine's perspective, if G mine cheats, B mine would rather cheat because they make 10 versus 5. And if G mine does not cheat, they would still rather cheat because they make 25 versus 20. So best answer here is E. G mine's dominant strategy is to not cheat, and B mine's dominant strategy is to cheat. That's their best outcome. So there you go. Hopefully that makes sense. As always, let me know if you have any questions, and until next time.